with this.
Oh, so thank you all for coming. We were trying to think of what we could do for our Christmas chatter, and we thought it's Christmas, it's gift giving, and it'd be really nice to hear what um, people would like to share in terms of teacher education and EAP. And we thought, who better to ask than some of our esteemed speakers? So we've got Olwyn and Bea and Ivana, who kindly agreed to come along and tell us what they would share with EAP teachers, and possibly some of the committee have got some ideas as well. I'm just recording certainly the first part of the gift bit, if that's okay. Um, and without further ado, can I pass over to Olwyn?
Well, I've retired 5 years ago and I haven't been keeping up with EAP and I'm sort of withdrawing from it now. So I did the old thing that you sometimes do at Christmas, which is you recycle gifts. So I picked up something that I produced in 2015, actually for the first event of the BALIP accreditation scheme, which was in Leeds that year. And we had a sort of syllabus design event. So I've sent the little PowerPoint that I produced or a PDF of it, which you can share. And I don't think I should go through all of that, but I think the message I want to give, and particularly given the situation I'm in, is that don't ignore your history. Because actually, if you think about the different phases that EAP has gone through, it's kind of gone from EAP for the oil industry, ESP, and then the Council of Europe and functional approaches to language syllabus design. And then we got colonized by IELTS and syllabuses became topics and skills. And they sort of still are. When I used to go around doing accreditations for summer courses, that's what I would find. And in EAP Essentials, we said we didn't think that was the best way to design an EAP syllabus and that we should look back to functions. And of course, genre came along with John Swales, and lots of people bolt that on to their topics and skills syllabus. But what my point in that talk, and still now, I think, is when you're reflecting on your syllabus, and I'm actually wearing the tartan, you can't see it though. Your syllabus should look like tartan. It should have a principled weaving through of the different strands with little highlight bits that come through so that, and I showed two pictures. One was a crazy patchwork, which is often what syllabuses look like, and one was a tartan, which is what they should look like. And it was just a question of saying to people, reflect on, the organization of your syllabus. What's the principle? What's the organizing principle? So that was really my recycled gift from 2015.
Thank you. And I still remember the tartan, and absolutely entirely relevant still today. You've made such a huge contribution to Barleap and the accreditation scheme and the TEEP scheme, Allwyn. And I know we've got you hanging around for another 2 or 3 months, but you'll be very sadly missed when
Well,
you
thanks, Carol. That's a very
are.
nice thing to say.
Are you going to carry on with your blog? Are you
No, I'm
you
going to
just
explore ways to sort of archive that so that it's still available. I haven't contributed to it for more 18 years, 18 months to 2 years, I think. As I say, I'm not reading, I'm not going to conferences,
Mm.
I don't feel I can contribute. And I don't want to be like one of those fat old blokes that gets carted around conferences in Saudi Arabia talking about the book they wrote 25 years ago. I just don't want to be like that.
Oh,
If what we've done and what we've produced and published is still being used, that's great. But that
yeah,
it's enough that that's the
yeah.
case.
But if you could archive your or in some way
Try
preserve
and
your
find a
blog,
way
that
to
would be
do that.
absolutely
Yes, yes, I
fantastic.
will. It still gets
Yeah.
lots of visitors.
Yeah, 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 I
I
know.
must
I know
see
people
things,
all around the world that look at it and read it and really enjoy it. Thank you, Alwyn. I'm going to just summarize all the things onto a document which we can share afterwards. So that's great. And yeah, course design still and syllabus design still highly relevant. And the point is not old at all.
Mhm.
B, should we move on to another accreditation scheme person?
Okay,
Is the
yeah.
deep one?
So I've cheated and done what I always do at Christmas, which is I can't just buy one present because it doesn't look right, and I have to go with three. Because I don't know, three feels like a magic number, and I couldn't decide. really. And I suppose I've got sort of different ways of kind of developing. So I'm going to give my official role response, which is the TEEP accreditation scheme individual. That I mean, obviously, I applied for that and I got senior fellowship through the pilot scheme, round about the same time that Olwyn was talking about Tartan to begin with. And so I think for people that haven't got that, it's an excellent way of kind of really focusing and having a structured way of development. For me, I find it hugely developmental still, just because I have access to reading about what other people are doing. And that really, really helps me understand what's going on in different contexts, think about EAP from different angles all the time, get loads of ideas from it. So either applying for it or applying for it and then becoming an assessor keeps that kind of development going for me. So that's my official role done. Random forms of development. I think I've got a family Spotify account. So we got the Spotify Wrapped the other day. None of us are massive podcast listeners. So the Barleap podcast came up as one of our top listens because we don't really listen to podcasts very much, but I do listen to that one. And I think what I like about that is that I don't really know what it's going to be about, and it kind of covers a range. So I kind of get these little, every now and then, sort of gifts of something new and interesting that I haven't necessarily thought about. So I like that as a sort of random kind of way of developing. And then in terms of my teaching, I suppose I kind of keep going back to, I mean, you can call it all sorts of things: exploratory practice, working with students, a very, very basic needs analysis. So this semester, the main focus of my in-sessional teaching has been around developing reading practice. So in the first couple of sessions, I asked them why they were coming, because they don't have to come. And their question was, you know, why, even when I understand all of the vocabulary, all of the words, do I still not understand the reading? I kind of know the answers, but the development for me has come through trying to find ways of helping them and teaching them to do that. And I still don't know that. So that for me is kind of like an ongoing development for me, that's working with my students to really grapple with this kind of question that they've got, that sometimes it's about the kind of sort of conceptual vocabulary, that it doesn't mean the same as they think it means. But I think also now with the use of kind of very immediate translation, and they're sort of reading through Gen AI, they think that they understand the words because they're reading them in their own language quite often, but they then don't understand the whole thing. So working with that without telling them that they shouldn't be translating has been hugely development for me. And so I suppose it's kind of starting with what the students have got a question about and planning and thinking about my teaching like that. So 3 for the price of 1.
Thank you. What double bonus there on top of that. And lovely again. So I've similarly the doing the accreditation schemes been was I found really helpful as a reflection on your own practice, seeing what you do, what you might want to do more of, and then I'm like you, I really enjoy reading the reflective accounts of professional practice of applicants because you find out what's going on. I suppose probably that's we'd think of some way to share that, I guess, when we find interesting things, another thing for the list of someone to do there. I catch up with the Be It Barley podcast when I'm gardening. I put my phone, my pocket in it in. There's such a lovely range, isn't
Yeah,
there? You quite
yeah,
you so like, oh, I know that person, or I really enjoy it as well, and it's so well put together.
yeah. I
It's
think
really
that the Tell
impressive.
Sig one as well, because that for me is still my sticking point, the sort of technology. Yeah,
Mm,
but so I learn things by listening to that,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah. And I've got something similar later on exploratory practice and working with students' needs, and we've just been working on reading as well. But thank you. That's absolutely fantastic.